Okay, I'm gonna get things started here. Can you guys hear me okay out there?
Yes.
Great. Glad to see you all here, especially considering the fact that the enrollment code was not set up correctly in WAMAP. So I applaud all of you for your persistence and communicating with me that that was a problem. And I apologize. It's one of the worst things to feel like, oh my God, there's this whole technology aspect, and it's already not working, right? We kind of expect that to be the case with electronic and online and all that kind of thing. But you guys were not at fault. The fault lied in a faulty enrollment code that I put in there. So thank you for your persistence. Glad to see you all here. Um, I'm assuming most of you have probably used Zoom to some extent before, but that's not always the case. So I definitely want to just kind of take you through the basics so that we can have kind of a participatory session when we meet. One of the things that you should see in Zoom is if you go down to the main bar thing that you have, sometimes it appears kind of hanging on your screen somewhere, or it's just kind of on the bottom if it's expressing itself kind of like a browser. On the very bottom, you should see something that's like a black thing, and that's where you can mute and start or stop your video. Most of the time, while we're meeting, you don't necessarily have to have the video on or your microphone on. Uh, but there will be times where you'll want to ask me questions. So then you can just unmute yourself there with the little microphone and turn that on. And I can also do that for you. I can unmute you or mute you. I have the power to do that. So I will sometimes do that if somebody doesn't realize their microphone is on and they're talking with their spouse or their brother, sister, or whoever's in the room. Also, but the thing we will use most of the time is the chat box. And depending on how big your screen is or how wide you have this viewing window, a lot of times you have to go over to more and then go up to chat and just have that open. Because a lot of times I'm going to be throwing questions at you. And rather than having people turn on and off their microphones constantly, it's just easier to type it into the chat box. So get that open, and with that chat box, I want to go through our questions. And for this one, uh, what you want to be able to see, and unfortunately, even if I share my screen, you guys, the Zoom stuff doesn't, so it's hard for me to guide you around here visually because you can't really see it, even if I share my screen. But the little blue box above where you would type your message defaults to say everyone. So when you type something in there, everybody's going to see it. And for this activity, like that's what I want us to kind of share these answers. But if while I'm talking, you have a question you want to send directly to me, and a lot of times I'll have, when you guys come here, this will be the first thing that we have is I call it my 15-minute check, is I'm going to put some problems up on the screen for you to work through while everybody's kind of coming in. And we do that for about the first 15 minutes. So whether if you have a tablet that you like to use to write on, some people have that as far as like electronic, you guys are all very 21st century. Um, but a lot of us like to use a good, pen and paper, and that's fine. So for the first 15 minutes, what I tend to have is maybe three or four problems for you to work through. And usually those problems are related to the current section that we're covering. On Wednesday, I'm going to start with there's several topics that we cover in here, but one of the major ones is converting from one unit of measurement to another unit of measurement. So if you want to go convert inches to feet or feet to inches or feet to miles or that kind of thing, I'm going to put those up for our first session on Wednesday. So in your reading, which I'm going to take you through all this, just know that conversions is kind of the one I'm going to focus on because it's one of the more difficult topics, but I'm going to give you a good review over everything. But I'll have those 3 or 4 problems. You'll work them out on paper, write it down, put that date for today. Today's what is today? The 1st, actually, July 1st. Welcome to our new month and new quarter. So you can put that and you can write these questions down and just put your responses. The reason why you want to write these down and kind of hang on to them is at the end of the quarter, you'll turn all those in. And I'm going to give you a few clues about the easiest way for you to send those to me. At the end of the quarter, I'm going to collect those. So every time we meet, you want to have a 15-minute check from that meeting. All of those will be worth extra credit for your homework. So basically, I'm giving you some incentive to be here live doing this with us because you'll earn extra credit throughout the quarter. That'll go into your homework category of the grade book, which I'll go over as well. So for now, you just want to leave that little blue box to be checked for everyone. And but normally you would want to click on that if you want to send me your response to a question, because we do go over those 15-minute checks after about 15 minutes, we'll go over them together. And so if you can check your work, you can see if you got it right or wrong. But a lot of times I'll have you, hey, everyone, send me your answer to number 3. Then you would want to click on the everyone, find my name. Now there's going to be 2, one that says host and one that says co-host. My co-host is my iPad here that I write on. You want to send it to the host one, which is my main computer screen here. And that way you're sending me your response kind of anonymously. And then we'll go over that question. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm embarrassed if I got it wrong or what have you. You'll just be sending it to me. I'm not going to call you out. I'm going to show you how to do it if it is wrong. But typically, like for what we're doing right now, you want to leave that little block box so it says everyone. And go ahead and send me what your answer to question number 1 is in the chat box, which is your current streaming series obsession. I always have at least 2 or 3 that I'm watching. I'm kind of a geek when it comes to both movies and, but streaming now and series that go on for 10 weeks and sometimes many years have kind of become the new movies, especially during the pandemic. I think most of us got obsessed with something. And currently I'm a little less obsessed, but I'm watching an HBO series called Something with Dragons, which was based off of another series that they had going for many years, Game of Thrones. Chosen, yes, that is a very good one. I believe I have missed that. I believe I have seen that. Anybody else have an answer to question number 1? Thank you, Millie, for sharing that. The Acolyte is something I'm watching on Disney, which is a Star Wars thing, but I'm not very happy with it so far. The Office is also one of my favorites as well. That is a great series that I love. Now, Todd, are you watching the US-based Office or the UK-based Office? The US one was actually based off of a UK series that was done. Personally, I think the one that was done in the US is a lot better than the one that was in the UK. Machu Picchu, I have not watched that one. So is Machu Picchu, uh, it's based off of Temple of Doom? Oh, that's where you'd like to visit. Okay,
Hey,
gotcha.
sorry. I figured it was easier for me to talk. Yeah, so I answered the numbers you have written down. Um
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, no, no. Machu Picchu is in Peru, and they have
Okay.
uh the it's a temple out there in
Yes,
this. Yeah. They
up on
have
the high top, right?
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. That is definitely on my bucket list of places to go.
Yeah. They
Uh,
have sloths there.
yeah, and so was that where they filmed Temple of Doom,
They
which is
did.
a
That's where they
okay,
based it out of. I mean, you know, yeah. I remember I was
okay,
like, oh my God, that would
which
be
is
so
Indiana
cool.
Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
Indian
gosh,
Grill.
I have many friends who have done that, and I'm jealous of them. And I've seen pictures, and it's just otherworldly, the views that you have from that.
Yeah.
How I Met Your Mother. Yes, that is a great series as well. What is that streaming on, Emily? Is that on? It must be on Hulu. Maybe it's on Netflix. I'm not really sure. Okay, it's on Netflix. What's happening now is that there was a couple HBO series that switched over to Netflix. So now, like, all these different services are switching where they're putting these shows on. Yeah, there was one called Your Honor, which just switched over to Netflix that used to be on HBO. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, From. Yes, Brandon. That is a Brandon. Do you go by Brandon or Scott?
I go by Scott.
Okay. Is Scott your middle name?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. That's always fun. My I can relate to you there because Brock is actually my middle name. My first name is Donald. So if you guys ever uh, notice, your email is usually your first letter and then your last name. And mine is not B Leach. Here it appears it's D Leach. They set it up that way, but because my first name is Donald. But my parents uh, intended me to go by Brock, but they put it as my middle name, so my dad and I had the same initials. This is Donald Bruce Leach, and I'm Donald Brock Leach. For anyone out there, and I don't know, Brandon, this is your experience, but do not ever name your children after their middle name. It is the most complicated thing, and it's something I wish they had just not done. Uh, but I do like Brock better. I didn't exactly like it as a kid, but now I like it. But back in the day, nobody had heard of that. Okay, US based super fans edition. So I'm okay, that goes back to The Office. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I was not a fan of the UK version. I don't know. I don't get British humor sometimes, but I think the US based Office is a much better series. Okay, so the second here is your favorite season and why it is your favorite. And you don't have to direct message me. You can just direct message it to everyone in the chat room. Though normally, if we're doing the math stuff, you guys can just send it to me directly. That way you have a little bit of a anonymity. But here we're in an open discussion. Now, for me, my favorite season is definitely summer. I am a Sun fan. So I think many of us here in the Northwest are. And it's really difficult for me to get through the grayer and darker seasons. Though I do appreciate the emergence that we have from winter during the spring. Uh, but usually I have to go somewhere during the winter that is sunny, just at least for a week to get away and get some sunshine. And my favorite thing to do is to travel to countries that I've never been to. Mexico is probably my favorite, and it's the easiest for me to get to. But I've been to Asia. I've been to Europe. A friend who lives there now, and so I try to get out at least once during our darker seasons, and I just like being with people and meeting new people and learning. Trying to learn Spanish, though. I can't say I've been very successful so far. Anybody else have an answer to number two? Go ahead and type that into the chat box uh, for everyone to see. If you do message me directly, just remember if you send it to the one that says co-host, it gets sent to my iPad, and I don't necessarily see it. In fact, I'm trying to. It looks like maybe somebody sent me something there, but oh, there it is. Ah, yes. Okay, Millie agrees with me. Summer, I want to be outside. I'm not cold. I'm not wet. And I'm not feeling like I need to go to bed at 6 o'clock when it's already dark. I love our long days that we have. Does anyone have a place that they plan on traveling to this year? I'm actually throwing out one more question here. I kind of am modifying a little bit, but let's go ahead and stick with what I have there. Um, oh, deer hunting. Excellent. My dad used to take me deer hunting when I was very small. But basically what I called that is walking. We just walked for hours and hours and hours. And I don't think we once shot a deer. Uh, in fact, I don't think I was made for that. I I would take my BB gun because I was pretty young, and I would shoot at birds, and then I actually hit one once, and could not take it. I was so upset that I killed this cute little bird that my friend and I buried the bird and put a little cross over its grave. I think that was the last time I ever shot at an animal, but my dad was never really successful with that either. Okay. Hawaii or Mexico? Excellent. By next winter, do you mean before Christmas or after Christmas? Are we talking
I work with the school district, so it would be during
huh?
Christmas break.
Okay.
So
Yes.
yeah, I either want to take
Excellent.
my son to Hawaii, or I have a girlfriend. There's an island of of dolls in Mexico that's like super creepy, but I
Yes.
wanted to go to that for a while. And she said, I have a friend that said she would go with me. Not many people would go. So
Yeah.
anyway, it'll be
And
one or the other.
is that in Mexico City? I think I read about that.
Yeah, it is near Mexico City.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's just really weird. And I have this thing with weird, creepy dolls. I
Uh-huh.
like I have one, and I like to go take pictures with it. And
And is
yeah,
it creepy?
well, it's like it's not a creepy doll. It's creepy in the fact that it's like, this old doll that has the eyes that open and close, and its hair's
Yeah.
cut really short, and most people just think dolls are creepy. So if you go
Yeah.
out and like you can go to like even like a parking lot, and if you watch your like work with angles, you can take some really
Hmm.
cool pictures.
Oh yeah. So is photography also a hobby for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Excellent. That if you guys have not seen this, I just implore you to search this out when you have a chance. And I don't know what the name of it is either. If you find out what it's called, put that into one of our discussions or something. You have to read about this. It is the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life. So what's interesting is Mexico City is, I'm pretty sure it's either, like you said, near Mexico City or just outside. Mexico City is actually built on a lake. The whole city is built on a lake. And as the water, they're actually having a problem with the water being taken out from the ground, and they're starting to run out. But there's still parts of it where the lake is still there. And you can get on these boats that take you to this island in the middle of this lake, and it's filled with creepy dolls everywhere. And I don't know, it was
Way.
somebody who started it, and it is literally the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life. I've not been there.
Like that's like underground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're on the ground, they're in the tree, they're nailed, it's almost like a horror movie. Mexico City was one of my favorite trips I've ever taken. I highly encourage any of you, if you get a chance. It's actually closer than you think, and it's very inexpensive. It's not hot, there's no beaches. I'm sure it gets hot certain times of the year, but I went in September, and I think the average temperature was about 65 when we were there. It's about 10,000 feet, I think, above sea level. So it does not, it's not like Mexico. It actually feels like you're in Europe. And that next time I'm going to go to that island of creepy dolls. Great food. It's even cheaper than going to like Puerto Vallarta or any of those other touristy cities. So much history. Trust me when I say go to some museums, go to the pyramids. It's fascinating. You will have a great time. All right. I don't want to we're not going to do a ton of math today, but what I want to do is kind of give you a tour, since most of you are using this for the first time. I'm going to switch over here. Stop sharing here. Share. So your screen will close the whiteboard for everyone. Yes. All right. So you should be able to see my desktop now. And so here, have any of you used WAMAP in the past? If so, you'll probably be somewhat familiar with it. If you're taking any math classes here at Pierce, most of us use the WAMAP system. In fact, it's used in, it's made, this was a state-funded project for math classes. So non-math classes usually don't, they use Canvas. With math, it's a little bit different because, we're submitting numbers. And this was created specifically so that we could have a platform that works well for math teachers and that can regenerate new problems and just kind of change them up by substituting numbers. And so it could be a free platform for all the people in Washington State to use. Oh, okay. Thank you, Millie. You go by, do you go by Millie? I assume that's what you put there.
Yeah.
And it's Eric. Great.
Yeah, this is
Got
just
it.
my Zoom account, so I go by Millie, but
Okay,
yeah.
great. Okay, I generally that you did the right thing by putting what you like to be called, because I will just use whatever I see. So Brandon or Scott, thank you for putting Scott in there. So I'm not calling you by something you don't want to be called. And you can always just do that in here as well, whatever you prefer to be called. As long as in your grade book you have your last name and that matches up with what's in the school system. If it doesn't, just let me know. I can work with that. All right, so you guys did find the Zoom link. Obviously, this is here at the top of, now yours is going to look a little bit different. So I'm actually going to, because I have more options as an instructor, I'm going to make it look like you see it. So this is our Zoom link. I will have office hours normally on Mondays and Wednesdays right after our class. I usually have a lot of emails to respond to and things to grade. So after class, I'll be sticking around from 11 to 12 on Mondays and Wednesdays. So this is your time. It's only going to be in Zoom. I'm not physically going to be at the office. If you want to meet with me outside of that, we can always set up a Zoom appointment as well. Just give me a day or so. I'm usually pretty flexible, and can meet with you during my office hours if you can't meet from 11 to 12, because I know some of you are going to other classes. If you are on campus during this time and you're using a laptop, or maybe you're using a school computer or something, maybe you're using a tablet, just make sure you have the ability to have a microphone if you need it, or if the need arises. But most of the time, we'll probably be using the chat box. So as long as you have headphones or something where you can hear me, you can type using the chat box. That's what we're going to be doing most of the time. Since most of you got registered in here today, I have this video, and probably none of you watched it yet because you just got registered right before we met today. But I highly encourage you to take a look at this. Since you're here today, I'm going to be going over a lot of what's in this video, but I made this video for my online classes. You'll notice that the dates and things like that don't necessarily match up because I have a different structure with my classes that are fully online. So you'll notice I'll say, well, our homework always comes due on Monday and Tuesday. Well, for you guys, it's going to come due on the days we meet, which is Monday and Wednesday. So anyway, the dates will be a little bit different, but if you do want a refresher about, wait a minute, he said this one feature and I don't remember what he said, this video is here for you to watch. Some of you I know were trying to register since last week. I had a very busy weekend, so I got our classroom set up last week, and then I didn't log on till this morning. So I apologize it took me so long to see your messages. And speaking of messages, I want to point out this little guy over here. If I send out announcements or anything, I'm going to usually do it through the WAMAP system. Whatever email that you used when you did this, when you set up your account, that's the email. It'll notify you that you have a message, but you won't be able to get that message until you log in and get it here. If you have a question or you have a problem or you want to communicate with me in any way, this is the best way to do it. I will be checking Canvas and I will be checking my email, but I don't do it as often. I'm usually logged into WAMAP at least 2 or 3 times a day during the regular work week. Sometimes I'll pop on over the weekend, but I should get back to you very quickly if you send me a message in here. And when you click on messages, you'll see that all the people who have enrolled, you guys are all included there. It notifies me when you enroll. And so I went into a bit of a panic this morning when I went in and nobody had enrolled. And then I thought there is something wrong because usually I have mostly everybody enrolled by the first day. And that's when I noticed that I meant to mark these as red. So if I send you a message, you're going to see that new thing pop up. If you click on the new, it'll actually take you to, oh, this is a post. Okay. It'll take you to the one message or the 3 messages that are new. And if you just click on message, it'll take you to all the history of your messages, any back and forth correspondence that we've had. Now, below messages, you see the forums. For every week that we have, there's a way for you to communicate, not just with me, but with everybody in class. Under week 1, I have it kind of laid out in the order that you would kind of do these different tasks. So there's a combination of reading as well as some videos. Most of the videos, so you see the link to the reading here, our book is a electronic book. And I have them linked here by chapter. So this will take you right into the book for this section, which is problem solving. So we're looking at various different skills. One of those is conversions. We're also going to be dealing with percentages. We try to pick topics that are applicable in the real world. And I can tell you, just as somebody who is learning how to cook and likes to cook for friends, love to have people over, I use conversions all the time because usually a recipe might not make enough. So I want to maybe multiply it by 1.5, or it's given to me in the metric system and I want to use teaspoons instead of whatever. So we're going to be, we pick topics that sometimes are very math heavy, but other times are not terribly math heavy. Some of these may be totally familiar with you, and some of these may be brand new to you. But I think what you'll find is that the topics we cover help you develop some skills that can be helpful to you in your everyday lives. Sometimes it may not be a topic that is interesting to you, but as you do it, you might discover, oh, this is kind of fun and this is interesting, and it relates to something in the real world. So let me go back here. But what I was going to point out, and then I got sidetracked here, is the problem solving questions forum. So if you run into a problem, you can copy and paste those problems into here. You just want to say add a new thread and say, hey, everyone, here's what I tried. It doesn't seem to be working. Here's the problem. The more information that you can give about your approach to that problem, what seemed to not be working for you, the quicker that you will get an answer, not just from me, but hopefully from you all. Right now, there's only 4 people here, but we actually should have around 11. My guess is the reason we only have 4 here today is because of those problems with logging in. So you have at least 4, but probably closer to 11 other people that are doing the same thing. They're trying to work through the same problems you are. I monitor those forums and will give answers if I see other people are not responding to it. Also, if you can always message me and send me the question that you have. Again, if you send it through messages, you send it through WAMAP, I will most likely get back to you fairly quickly. If you do send me a question that relates to a problem that I know other people have in the class as well, questions tend to be similar. Like people tend to struggle with the same concepts. And so if I give you a really lengthy answer that I want other people to have access to, a lot of times I will keep you anonymous within that question and I'll post it in there so that everybody can see it. Many times I'll spend about 10 minutes replying to a problem, and I know how to write in here so that it looks well as far as mathematically. It's very hopefully clear. If it's not clear, you can always tell me that. So I want everybody else to benefit from the answer to the question that you post. I appreciate questions. Questions are the way that show me, hey, you're curious. You actually want to know how to do this, and you're trying. So never feel weird or hesitant to ask me questions. It's the way we learn, and you shouldn't feel shy about that. That's what we're all here for. So never feel shy about asking questions. I welcome them. And in fact, your questions help me guide everyone through this. So everything is broken up by week. This is week 1. On week 2, we're going to do something called graph theory. I think you'll kind of find that fun. You will have a hard time seeing how this is relevant, but it actually is. It's very relevant. For example, finding the shortest path from one point to another point. This is a whole dimension of mathematics. And what you see that used in, if you guys ever use Waze or Google Maps, they use some of those algorithms to help construct the quickest way for you to drive to get to a location. So there's a lot of things where if you're not really sure how this is applied, hopefully the reading kind of takes you through that. So with, let me talk a little bit about the reading. You guys saw that earlier. the first thing that you should do is start reading through the section. Take some notes as you're doing it. You don't have to, this is a great skill for you to develop. I don't think a lot of people, for me as a high school student, it wasn't until college that I really saw the benefit of and started learning how to take notes. What you want to focus on is what are the main things. Sometimes in your reading, you'll see those in boxes. And those tend to be either examples like here, or they kind of highlight it and actually put it into a box. So these kind of point out those boxes are one of the ways you can take effective notes. There's a lot of examples that you'll see. So here's another box that tells you this is important. And this is probably like in a formula or equation you want to write down. And these are the things that you want to be able to refer back to without having to go into the book every time. So the things that are in boxes tend to be the ones you want to focus on. And then usually there's at least 2 or 3 examples that go through that. Now, watching an example in a book can sometimes be hard to follow. There are times and reading math books is its own sort of method or skill, I guess you would say. Examples are probably the most valuable thing you'll find in the book. It's going to relate to the type of problems you do on the homework. So writing those things down, maybe working your way through an example, like trying to do it and then checking yourself with what they did. That's ways that I've learned how to learn math, and I did a lot of math in college. And the more I did it, the better I got at it. I was never a math whiz. I love teaching math, but I love teaching more than I love math, even though I love math. Teaching is really my passion. It was never easy for me. And so that actually gave me an advantage. It allowed me to be able to explain it to other people in ways that hopefully you'll find helpful. So take some notes, go through the reading. That's kind of your first task of the week. In fact, I'm going to jump down here and show you the calendar. This is your quickest and easiest way to access all the stuff that you'll need. I'm going to put out, I haven't done it all yet for you for all the weeks, but if you'll see here, I put on Friday, week 1, required reading, week 1 lesson videos. I put them on the calendar, not because there's anything for you to do in there except for reading and watching, taking notes. But by Friday is kind of your goal to have that completed. Right? The first task is to do that hard part. And typically on Friday, we don't have anything due except for the reading and the videos. That's just kind of your goal. You could have it done by Wednesday or Tuesday, but by Friday, you should have that done, the reading and the video lessons. Then you want to look to Monday. Monday is when your exercises are due. Now, right now I have the due date set at midnight. That was just a default. They're actually going to be due an hour after our class. So let's see, we go from 9 to 11. So I'll have them due at noon. Your goal is to have them almost fully completed by class time. Now, I'll go through the exercise, show you kind of how they work. But that's your goal, is to have them due by the time we meet. Now, do I expect you to have them 100% done by the time we meet? I obviously don't, because there are going to be ones that maybe you can't get. You have questions about them, right? So take note of the ones that you have questions about, so that once we've completed the 15-minute check at the beginning and I go over those, the very next thing is, hey, how are the exercises going? Are there any questions that came up while you're working through those? And then I can switch over to my whiteboard and I can write that question down and kind of go over the process of how you would want to go through that. So what you're seeing on the calendar here is what is coming due and the day it is coming due. These are all going to come due about an hour after class. Oops, we got somebody showing up right now, so put them in. Welcome, Emily. Were you here earlier? You must have got kicked out or something. Glad to see you back. So what you see on the calendar is what's coming due, and you'll see down here the time it's coming due. This will be changed to noon. So it'll actually be 12 o'clock p.m., which actually is noon. I always put 11:59 because if I put 12, it would actually, like midnight is 12 a.m. I put it, and that would put it on the next day, which is really confusing. It would actually move this icon over to Tuesday, and that would be very deceptive. So if it's due at midnight, I'll have 11:59, but typically for you guys, it's going to be noon. So when you click on the calendar date, you actually can see the links to those assignments down here. So you can access any of the stuff up here in these blocks. I call them blocks. You click on it and they kind of open up. You have the link to the reading here, but you also have the link to the reading on Friday. You can access it right here. I just do that for convenience. You can see what's coming up, what's due, and they're here. If it's not on the calendar, it's not due, right? It's not something that has a due date or something for you to complete, right, for points. But you can also access them up here. So here's the exercises. Let me go up to the videos here. Now the videos are examples from the book worked out on video. So if sometimes when you're looking at a book, it's a little harder to see the process, right? They do it by lines, like step 1, step 2, here's what we do here. And then you're like, how did they get from step 3 to step 4? And sometimes books are very unclear. This one I think you'll find is pretty clear, but it's helpful also to see somebody work it out and talk it through as they work it out. So these are different examples from the book that are worked out, and we have these linked under the videos. So the videos here are more or less actual problems being worked out for you. And then there's ones that are a little more sort of general, like introduction to percent equation, percent of change. The ones that don't say example are kind of more lesson videos that you can watch. I know that I want to challenge you to go through the reading, create those formulas, take note of the formulas that are there, and the dialogue that goes with that. The book that we're using is actually written by one of the professors here at Pierce College, and so it's very communicative. Sometimes it can be technical. I don't think you'll find this book unapproachable. It's very well done. And in fact, he is the one who, the state page to design WAMAP. His name's David Littman. And he works for us at Pierce College. We're very proud of him. Okay, so then you saw the problem solving questions formula. So if you have questions, you can, sorry, not formula, forum. You can post them in here. You can also message them to me. So we have our exercises, and then there's always a written assignment. Now, in this particular week, you'll see that part 1 of this written assignment is due Friday. This concerns a very short question where you kind of want to make an educated guess, right? So this is not a very intense part. The intense part comes next week on part 2. And it mostly has to do with conversions. So you want to give yourself time to work on that. Once you've worked through the exercises successfully, then start working on that part 2 written problem. And make sure, of course, you submit something for part 1. Underneath that, you'll see the skills quiz. This is the one you want to do last. I actually recommend you do the skills quiz after you've done the written assignment. But this is like your weekly test, and this will be for us on Wednesday. It'll be due an hour after class. So save that for last. That's your dessert, right? The quiz is a combination of maybe stuff from the written assignment, maybe stuff from the exercises, and it's time. You have 1 hour to complete that quiz. So don't go into the quiz till you've practiced those exercises and you're feeling pretty good about the week. This is like your test. You have an hour to complete it. It's usually fairly short. Maybe there's 5 or 6 problems in the quiz. And it's time. So once you open it, that clock starts ticking. You get 2 submissions for the quiz. If you don't do well the first time, you can always take it a second time and it'll save your best score. But that's your quiz. Once you've opened it, you got to take it. You have an hour and the clock is ticking. Even if you close it out, that clock is still ticking within the quiz. So again, don't click on this until you're ready to take it. If you mean to click on this and you accidentally click on the quiz, let's show you this real quick. It kind of gives you a warning. It says skills quiz. This is problem solving. Big capital letter quiz. So it kind of warns you. You can see here, actually, the time limit is 1.5 hours. I think this is a little bit longer. You can take it twice. The highest score is going to be recorded. So just clicking on the link is going to take you into the quiz. It gives you a bit of a warning before you do it. Let me go back and click into the exercises real quick here. You'll notice here it says late pass allowed. All of you, when you registered into WAMAP, were given 10 late passes. A late pass, when you're in here, this is actually going to be a blue link that says use late pass. For me, it doesn't show up that way because I'm the instructor and I'm not enrolled. But this will be a blue link where it says use late pass. If you click on that, it's going to delay your due date by 24 hours. All of you have 10 of those to use. You can use them on a quiz. You can use them on a written assignment. But it only adds 24 hours. So let's say you realize next week on Friday that you forgot to do the exercises that came due on Monday. If you click on use late pass, it's not going to open it up for Friday if it was due Monday. You would actually have to use 5 late passes to get it moved over to Friday. It only each late pass moves it by 24 hours. So if there was some issue that came up, you missed something, you forgot to do something, or you had to run your grandmother to the hospital or something, send me a message and I can move it more than 24 hours for you by using one of your late passes. I just have to do it manually, okay? And I'm happy to work with you. Always communicate with me. Now, there is an incentive not to use late passes. You get 10 of them, that's it. But if you don't use them, they become extra credit at the end of the quarter as well. So the extra credit for this class, if you combine everything, number one, attending our class sessions, just being here is earning you extra credit. Second, doing the 15-minute checks that we do, those problems that I give you at the beginning of the session, those are worth extra credit. And then not using late passes. So any late passes that you have left over, those turning to extra credit at the end of the quarter. Usually the extra credit is not going to count more than 1%, 2%, or 3%. Like it's total, everything combined, probably adjusts your final grade by about at the most 2%. So you can kind of keep that in mind. And what I like to do rather than I like to tie the extra credit to the good habits you want to develop as students. It's really important to not wait till Monday to start working through the reading, the videos, and your exercises, or wait till Wednesday to start working on the written assignment. You want to plan yourself ahead so you're not under the gun, because the learning process is what you want to learn through this. The learning process takes time. If we could do all this stuff in 1 week or in 1 day, we wouldn't do it over a week. So saving it for the last minute, I know you guys have all busy lives. What I want you to do is to come up with what your game plan is. You all have different schedules. You have some flexibility as far as when you're going to do these things, but you don't have the flexibility. There are hard due dates for these things. So put yourself out there in creating a schedule for yourself where you know you're going to have an hour here, an hour there. Don't try to spend 6 hours on Sunday night trying to cram learning into 6 hours. Your brain won't take it. Our brains are not designed that way. We can only take so much, little bits and pieces here. And so you do an hour here, an hour there. Try to think about as far as your thought process, um, giving yourself bits and pieces to work through this stuff throughout the week. Plan those times out and try to stick with them. All right. And then we have the written assignment. Sometimes we're going to submit things like by typing it into whatever I have in the system here, or you're going to write it on a piece of paper and then take a picture of that and submit it that way. I'm going to switch over to my camera here for a second. So I want to show you guys a great app that I think you'll find helpful. Give me a second. I'm going to find it on my phone. Okay, now this is a free app, and I think you'll actually find this to be one of the best apps you've ever downloaded, except for maybe Candy Crush. But I want to give you the visual what it looks like. It's called Cam Scanner. I don't know if anyone has heard of that, but the little CS is backwards, but it says CS. I don't know if you guys see that or if you see, I think you see it backwards. Yeah. It's called Cam Scanner. If you, okay, my phone did something weird here. I'm fearful. That it's going to delete stuff. I don't know how that happens. Okay. Done. All right. Give me the sign like it was going to delete everything on that important thing. It's called Cam Scanner, has a little CS in it. So what this app allows you to do, I'm going to go back to the screen now, is to take pictures and turn it into a PDF document. So what you do is you open up the app and you go to the camera feature. I think it opens up into a camera. And then you can take a picture and you can take it multiple times. So let's say you're turning in something your first written assignment that comes due next Wednesday is probably one that you'll want to use this app for, because you'll probably have 2 pages, maybe 3 of work. When I worked through the problem, I had about 2 pages. Now, the written assignment is kind of for you to really dig in and to show off the skills that you've learned. So take time on it, and because I grade it personally, right? It's not like the exercises, which I'll take you through, where you're just kind of working through the computer, right? And then it grades it. The written assignments for you to show me your work, to show me how you worked through this problem, and to kind of show off. If you submit something that has problems with it, I'm okay if you messed up on some stuff, right? I'm still going to give you points. But if I can tell that you really didn't put the time and the effort into this assignment, I tend to be a little harder on the grading for the written assignments. So your quizzes and the written assignments are ones that have some level of, I don't want to say difficulty, but they have, I get to sort of participate in determining the grade of those. And they're 20% of your overall grade. So they weigh pretty heavy. So the weights that we have that you'll see in the grade book, 20% for your homework. Those are like your exercises, and 20% for your quizzes. 20% is also given to the written assignments. I'll talk about the prepare for final here in a bit, but that falls into the homework category. So the homework category is exercises and prepare for final. And then the final exam that we take is worth 40%. So that's the final that we'll have. It's an online final that you'll complete on the day that we have it. So you're not going to have to come into school. We're not going to do it in person. We're going to do it online. So all of those weigh 20% of your grade, except for the final. Everything's 20%. So take your time on that. Feel proud about your submission. And then what I tend to do is I'll give you feedback on that within the grade book, which I'll show you as well. All right, the prepare for final, I want to talk about this. Prepare for final, typically, the point values vary, but this goes into your homework grade overall. Since this is our first week, the main thing that you want to do here is to submit to me. Again, this is where you can use your CamScan app, which I highly encourage. There's a couple other apps. If you know what they're called, type them into the chat box, because I have had other people use similar things. I'm sure Microsoft has one, or they probably bought this one. I don't know, actually. Where's my chat? I lost my chat when I switched over. I think there it is. So what the first thing is you want to do a summary set of notes. Try to keep it to at the most 1 page. If you go longer than a page, that's okay. And I want you to get it down to 1 page. What are the main ideas here? What are the important formulas that you used while you were working through the exercises? What's something that stood out that you want to write down and have reference to? Try to get it down to 1 page of notes that you've created. You want to have 1 page of notes for every week. So in our prepare for final, the first question is always, hey, submit your notes here from this week. So by the end, you should have 7 pages of notes, 1 for each week. Those are what you will use when you take the final exam. Okay, you're going to be allowed to use up to 7 pages of notes. So think about that when you're thinking about what would I want to use and what would be helpful to me while I'm taking the final is, oh my God, this formula that we use. This is really important formula. I used it about 15 times. This is the main idea that I got from the section. Write those down in a real organized, efficient fashion. And maybe you can have some examples that go with it that you thought were helpful to you. All on 1 page. You're just going to submit those notes here by clicking on this, choosing a file, and then uploading it. This takes you into files, which I don't want to do. We're going to cancel that. But that's what you'll see on your computer screen. The other ones, once we get past the first week, in addition to submitting your week of notes, you're also going to have a short little assignment that takes some of the problems from previous weeks. The goal here is to keep practicing the stuff from, when we're in week 3 to keep fresh on some of the skills that you learned in week 1 and week 2. So besides just submitting a week worth of notes, you're going to work through some problems that came from previous weeks to kind of keep your skills up as we go. Because a lot of times it's been, for a regular class quarter, there's 10 weeks of different topics, and they start to get stale after a while if you don't continue to practice them. So those are due every week as well. And that's basically what this class is about. That's everything. Let me take you into the exercise. I want to show you a couple things here. So when you go into the exercises, remember this is not timed. So you can come and go, start working, go back, do other questions. If you run into something you don't quite understand, you can come back to it. So it kind of takes you like you would go through a quiz or a book or what have you. You're in question 1. If you want to go to the next question, you can go to question 2. And there's 20 points total here. You can also access the questions by clicking on this little box. I'm going to jump to question number 6. All right. cars driving 60 kilometers an hour in meters. Does that, how far does it travel in 4 seconds? Right. So you can submit something. I'm submitting something that's wrong. Did I actually get it right? It may be that I may have just completely guessed. Oh my gosh. Okay. I did not know that was the answer. I literally typed 2 random numbers and got it right. I'm not that good, I promise. So let's say you spent a lot of time on that. I'm going to actually, I'm going to click on get a similar question. You can see that it uses the same parameters there, 60 kilometers an hour. Now it's want to know how far does it travel in 2 seconds, right? So it changes it up. I'm going to answer it incorrectly this time. If it's 67 before, it can't be this because they changed it from 4 to 2. Just because I want you to see if you get it wrong. If you get it wrong, it's going to say no. You can retry it. Okay, well, 32. I don't think that's right. I hope it's not. Yep, it was wrong. That was a second submission, right? I'm going to try it one more time. I'm going to put 8. It's wrong. Okay, that I've run out of submissions there for this question. Now you can also see there's a video here. You can also post it directly to the questions forum for this week. You're like, I've tried this question 15 times. I still haven't gotten it right. Can somebody give me some help? And so always pay attention to the forum, but you can post it directly here. Besides just posting it here, tell us a little bit about what you did, what you tried, what didn't go well, what have you. Don't just post the question and don't say anything. Now you have to go back. Okay. Up here, you can see this. This is kind of like, I like to call them, I had a great term for it. Somebody else came up with it. Breadcrumbs. You can see here at the top, we have kind of what I call breadcrumbs, because if you go into something, it kind of crumbs it out to the next thing. This is the home page. If I want to go back to the home page, I would click on this. It kind of takes you back. So it leaves little crumbs where you've come so you can kind of find your way back rather than using the back function on your browser. So each of these problems can be done an infinite number of times. You have 3 submissions, 3 chances to get it right for full points. If you don't, it'll regenerate a new question for you to work on that uses different numbers. And literally, that's what's great about the site is it'll generate and keep generating new numbers, same question, same basic structure, but new. So you can, you should be able to, and it should be your goal to get 100% on all your exercises. Same thing for your prepare for final questions. And obviously, your written assignments, you want to get as many points as you can as well. Those are graded manually. I personally grade them. So it usually takes me a day or 2 after the due date for me to be able to get through all of your all's submissions. So you got to be a little patient with that. I tend to try to hide it in your grade book so that it's not affecting your grade until I've graded them. But there may be times, even in exercises or prepare for finals, where you submit those notes, I have to go and grade those manually. So you may see a lower score for those things that were essay questions where you had to type out a response or you're submitting your notes. All those things are not graded by the system. I have to do that. So if you notice that, you can always ask me about it, but usually it's because I just haven't had time to get to those yet. This first one, you'll have to be patient because it takes me several days to be able to get through everybody's response for our first written assignment. But the control that you have over your grade is most found in the exercises. You should get 100% on all those. If there are ones you can't get, bring them to me. And when we meet on Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm going to go through those. And so after class, you'll have an hour to also finally work through that. That's why you should be able to get 100% on all of these. You'll notice we actually have things on today. These are just introductory stuff. You're going to introduce yourself in the autobiographies and then reply to 2 other people. So whenever I have a reply due, it shows up here. You don't have to actually click this. This actually just takes you into the autobiographies where you introduce yourself, talk about yourself. I have some questions for you to answer. Then there is the syllabus. I want you to read through that. A lot of what we talked about here, I've covered, but give the syllabus a quick read. There may be certain things that I didn't talk about. And then there's a quiz over each little section in that, quick little quiz. Should be able to get 100% on all these. Then I also have a little, some directions about how you can attach a picture to your profile here in WAMAP. And then you'll just go into, let me click on this. When I say reply to this, I'm actually going to update this with some other question for you to ask or answer. You're going to click on this, and here are the instructions about how you can get your profile picture into WAMAP. So super easy little assignment. Just reply to me here with whatever question I end up putting there. I just said reply with a word or phrase. But once you've completed it, when you reply to this, you should be able to see your picture in that reply. All right. So that's how you know you've been successful there. The other things that are here, this is your grade book. If I click on this, it's going to show all of you. And so what I see is a little bit different, but what you will see is all your assignments, what you've done from them, and what scores you've got. And then at the very bottom, you'll be able to see what your overall grade is at that point. Do keep in mind that if there's written assignments I haven't graded, they may show up as a 0 until I have something in there, but I try to keep those hidden until I have everybody submitted. Then I release it. You'll be able to see it in your grade book. Okay, I think I've covered everything. These are coming due tonight, so you want to work on these today, and then you want to start doing the reading for this week. We don't have anything coming due this Wednesday because obviously we're in week 1 here. But you may, since I have to monitor, and because of that problem we were having with people getting registered, you may see these move over to Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'm probably doing that because, and they may actually finally end up here on Wednesday. It may be that I'm opening these up for the students who haven't registered yet or registering late. A lot of times so you may see these move, and that's the reason I'm moving them, because we're having people add to the class and I want to give them a chance to do those introductory assignments. All right. Are there any questions that you guys have for me after all of this talking that I have done? Any questions that you guys have? Yes.
Yeah, I had a question. So I had a bit of an issue today trying to see what you were sharing. It could be my browser or something. I just want to know if this lecture is going to be posted later on so I can go back and see what it was that you were sharing.
Yeah. Great question, Emily. Yes, I'm recording the session. And so I will post the link to those recordings. And actually where I'm going to post them. So I'm actually going to, so the link that we have for Zoom here, I'm going to turn this into a Zoom block, if you will. And so when you click on that, that's where you'll actually see this link once I've made that change. And then below that, I'm going to put the date and the recording link so you can always go back. If you guys can't make it, you're not going to get the attendance points, right? Because you weren't here live. To get the attendance extra credit point, you have to be here live. And so all of you are here live, Emily, Brandon, Millie, and Todd. So you're getting that point. But if you can't make it, sometimes stuff comes up. The recording will be posted, so you should be able to go back and view that for every class. The only time that I can't do that is if I forget to hit record at the beginning of session. But generally I do. Generally when you guys come into Zoom, I'm going to have the 15-minute check problems posted. and I may jump in and say, hey, everyone, welcome, start working on these. But then I usually turn my microphone off. I usually don't even have my video on. I'm doing that here so you guys can see that I'm a real person. I am here. But generally, for streaming purposes, it slows things down. That's why I don't require for you to have your camera turned on. And I don't have mine on. And that might have been the problem, Emily, is that possibly it slowed down the Wi-Fi where you were. And so that might have been a problem. I'm not sure what happened, but these will be posted under the Zoom block, which you will see here after today.
Okay,
Any other
thank
questions?
you.
You're welcome.
So before the class started, I was waiting on it to pop up with the actual Zoom meeting. So I saw the messages and I was clicking on them. And when I clicked them, they went away. So they opened. I didn't reply to anything because I didn't know what to do with them. But now I don't see them. So how can I get those back up?
Oh, the questions that I had originally. Yeah, the introductory one.
So no, like when you go back to WAMAP,
Oh,
so the messages
oh, uh-huh.
where you like mine's showing none now. It's like you had on there how to put your picture up, how to do the introduction, all that stuff. I
Mhm.
clicked on those. I didn't respond to them because I wanted to wait to see what they were, but I was just like exploring around, and now they're not
Yeah,
showing.
yeah. They're not showing it all. So
No.
like on the calendar, do you see the links?
Let's
What I
see.
have here?
Let me see.
So when you click on the date, you should
Yeah, I
see
go
the
down the
link.
calendar. I see down here. I see autobiography,
Yeah, yeah.
syllabus,
So
quiz
if I
profile.
click
Okay.
on when I click on Tuesday, you can see nothing's due because there's no icon here. That's where the link, I think this is what you're talking about. The links aren't here because you have to click on the date. So when you click on
Okay.
it, the link to that day's exercises that are coming due that day appeared. The link appears below. I think that's what you're talking about.
Well, they're showing down here, but they're not showing in the actual messages up top. Like before, they were
Messages.
showing up top. Yeah. So on messages, or it might have been
Mhm.
forums, one of the two, but it was showing up. But once I clicked on them there, they went away. I don't know if it was just
When
something
you
with the
clicked on message,
program or if it's, yeah, there was nothing on there for
well,
mine.
you shouldn't have messages, right?
Okay.
These are what I see. So what the system is doing for me, it's actually sending me a message that this person just enrolled, and then I mark it as read. It should still be there if you have a message in there, which I haven't sent anything, so you probably don't. Um, it's probably blank in here, but I have a bunch that are in here now. So if you want to communicate with me, I probably should have pointed this out. You want to go send a new message, and then you're going to highlight my name and put a subject, what's up, and then type your message here and then send it. When I reply, when you're on the main screen, the messages would say new. So it's going to notify you that you have a message there. What we're seeing here with the forums is kind of an example here. This takes you on all the different weeks homework forums. And one of the things that you're doing today is the autobiographies. So this tells me that 2 people have posted their autobiographies already in the autobiography forum. So I hope that's answering your question or making sense.
It does.
Is
I
that
can navigate through that way. They were showing up somewhere else. I don't even know where they were showing up at. It had like all of them lined up. And I clicked on them and then they went away. So, but I can get to them from that. So
hmm.
that's fine.
Yeah, it could be the forums that had this. If you click on this, it just shows you the new ones. And then once you exit out of that, since you viewed them, sometimes that red goes away. Like, okay, it's not going to keep
Okay.
telling you have a new message. If
Yeah,
you
I've
just
never
click on
used
forums,
WAMAP before.
yeah. And what's cool is that if you click on the red part, it takes you to the forum where people have posted, right? So you don't have to look through there and go, okay, which one are they in? This just actually takes you directly to where those 2 things are. But if you click on forums, it'll show you all of them. If you go into messages and click on this rather than the red, right? See, they're both clickable. If you click on messages, it'll show you all the previous messages if we had an exchange and went back and forth. It'll show you all of them. So if I click on messages, it shows me all of these that I've already read and marked as unread. So I think that's probably what happened. If you click on new, it takes you directly to that message, and that's it. It doesn't take you to all your previous messages, which you don't have any. Great questions. I know it's a little intimidating where you're first getting started into a new computer system. There's a bit of a learning curve, but I think if you stick by the week, right? This takes you into the week's worth of stuff. And I give you a little dialogue there. You can access everything here, but the easiest way is to look ahead at what's coming up, and you can access everything through the calendar. Once you click on that date, the link to that particular assignment, you don't have to hunt for it. It's just right there. So most students I've found prefer to use the calendar and end up using the calendar mostly in this. And that's why I'm trying to put all the readings and the videos up here so you can just find them easily without going through the blocks. Any other questions? Going once, going twice, going 2.5, 3 times. Okay, good. If you guys do run into questions as you start to work through this week's material, please feel free to message me. Again, I check this the most because this is where I can prioritize you guys as opposed to my email, which is usually filled with a bunch of emails for me to delete, like it's a task that I have to do. So I tend to avoid that because I hate it. But I will once in a while as well check, especially in this first week, check through Canvas. So you can send me a message here. It's just harder sometimes for me to get to it. I like to prioritize students in one place so I don't miss messages. My most fearful thing that I get a little paranoid about is if somebody's trying to reach out to me and they're not getting a hold of me. So I like to prioritize you guys before everybody else in one place. So the easiest way for you to contact me is in WAMAP here. Great. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. We're going to do some working this week on Wednesday. So I will see you on Wednesday from 9 to 11. And then that'll be the last you see me till next week. Thank you for showing up, all of you, Brandon, Emily, or sorry, Millie, Scott, Emily, and Todd. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys and hopefully some of our other students as well on Wednesday. If you have a question for me personally, I'll be sticking around after this for a little bit. So feel free to stick around. Otherwise, class is dismissed and I'll see you guys on Wednesday.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.